In this example, I have edited the CSS to change the background picture and some of the other pictures in the divs. And if we come over into the CSS, you'll see that the first thing that I did was add this raindrop background pattern, and this is an absolute link to the JPEG. And the way that I got that was by going to Google image search for raindrops, and when I click on it, rather than download the image, I hit view image, but I copied the URL from up here. Control C, and then came over into the CSS and pasted that in. So that is an absolute link to a site out on the web. Down here we'll go back, and for this image, in the background of the page wrapper div, you'll see that the link is a relative link. It's just to hogwarts.jpg, and what that is a file that's right here on my desktop, so you can see that. And with a relative link, if you're including that in your final project, you would need to also upload that file and make sure that it was in the same directory, in the same location as your CSS and your HTML file. But those are two kinds of links that you can add, and if you scroll in the CSS, we can see other places where there were pictures. For instance, over on this menu on this side, the background was changed from a paper bag background to a textured kind of red brick background, and that's an absolute link to a file. And a lot of these sidebar elements have background images as well. The one that's called archives is actually pulling the word archives, and the word archives in this instance isn't actually text, it's an image file of text, and you can tell that especially in the Zen Garden logo because there's pixelation around the Z here that you can see that's white. So if you wanted to replace that, we would just need to go up and find where that is in the CSS, and it's under header 1, and here is the file. And you can tell that it's the file because if I Control X and cut that out and save it and hit refresh, I can see that it's deleted from the CSS here. It's no longer there, and so I can go back and add that back in. I can just paste that back in, file, save, and now it toggles it back on. So that way, if you want to check and see if you're editing in an area that you actually want to change, you can make the change and then undo it. When you're finished editing your CSS, and you may want to also change things like width of the divs so that maybe the location of the sidebar is in a different location, you can change that by the position, and the padding you can change, and the width, and whether or not it's absolute or relative in its location to other items on the page, whether it floats left or floats right or clears all other divs that are before it. Those are all things that you can change, but do play around with it and change at least the text color and the background colors, and maybe try to put in a different image. Okay.